And now a message from our friends at Fetching Food.
The 1970s and 80s had Elbow, Gravy Train, Purina, Meow Mix, and Bell Bottoms. You've changed your clothes, now change how you feed your pet. Like Bell Bottoms, kick the kibble and join us in the 21st century with the healthiest diet for dogs and cats. Feed naturally, feed raw, feed Fetching Foods.
Perfectly recreates the mating call of the reindeer. Bell. Oh, hey there. Sorry, little goat. I was calling for a What was that? Scram! Skedaddle! Strange goat.
Hello, pups and kins. Well, we are back with an all-new episode of the Groomer Next Door podcast. And this week we are going to discuss oral hygiene in our pets. And who else besides our good friend Chris Lovell, who is the co-founder of CocoChew, who is going to talk all about it. And if you were in Orlando this past week, which I unfortunately was not, you were able to go to the nice little expo called Global. And Chris would have been there. You would have been able to see him. And if you were unable to make it, but you still want to go and meet him and so many other great people, you can go to Healthy Dog Expo, which is on the 6th of April in Albany, New York, which honestly is probably the best of all the best expos. And I am biased because I love everything Dr. Koger does. So, of course, I'm going to be a little bit biased. But before Chris comes in, let's go in a little bit over oral hygiene. As for our dogs and even our cats, our vet is usually also their dentist. So it's a rare dog or cat whose tail wags at the prospect of an oral exam. Therefore, it makes absolute sense on so many levels to look after their teeth and prevent problems. A problem said to be on the rise amongst dogs and cats is dental. And here's the problem, folks. We all have been talking about nutrition for years now, and we already know how bad it is for our dogs and cats' teeth to have kibble. And that is on the rise, and we will go into a little bit more on that. There is a statistic that I will bring up later on that is absolutely staggering. And by that sound, Chris is about to enter the podcast studio. So with that said, welcome Chris Lovell from CocoChew to the podcast.
Oh, hello. Hold on a sec. Dad, we have a guest on the podcast.
All right, this week on the podcast, we are so fortunate to be joined by co-founder of CocoChew, Chris Lovell. And he is going to tell us all about his great company. So thank you for being on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Chris. I'm really excited to be on here.
And we are very happy to be able to talk to you. As I had said, Dr. Koger gives you a high recommendation, and everything that she ever says I tend to listen to because, well, she's right 100% of the time, at least in my experiences so far. So tell us about your origin story.
Yeah, so I guess it was kind of started about how I got involved with CocoChew. So my senior year at UNH, University of New Hampshire, I was studying finance and entrepreneurial studies, and for the entrepreneurial studies track, for our capstone, we had to come up with a business idea and write a full business plan, kind of go into different marketing analysis, and, essentially, kind of launch a product idea. And so, Chip was one of my good friends at UNH, and he told me about this idea that he'd had kind of circling around in his head. And at that point, I think a couple of years before, he had been in Hawaii, and he noticed a lot of the stray dogs running around the beaches were chewing on coconuts that had fallen from palm trees. And so he kind of saw that, and around this time, everyone was kind of going crazy about the health benefits of coconuts, the coconut milk, coconut water and oil and all of that. So he was kind of curious and spoke to some of the local veterinarians on the island, and actually found out that a lot of the stray dogs that they were bringing in and rescuing already had clean teeth, and a lot of their patients that they were bringing in to clean their teeth already had pretty clean teeth. And they asked their patients, they said, what are you guys doing at home? And the owner said nothing, too out of the ordinary. We just let them chew on the coconuts in the backyard. That's kind of what gave us the idea to look at coconut husk as a potential tool to kind of help scrub dogs' teeth. And Chip had already kind of played around with some different ideas as far as like the toy design and stuff. And when he kind of brought it to us, he'd already kind of tried to launch once, and it was hard for him to do it while being at school. So he kind of brought it to our attention and was like, I really need a team, really looking for people who obviously love dogs, but really have a deep passion for this. And the more we kind of learned about the pet industry and how there really are no regulations for toys, we kind of felt a lot stronger about, there really is an opportunity here to kind of create a natural and sustainable dog toy that also has dental benefits as well. So it was right around that time that we started, tying the different toys ourselves and meeting with different veterinarians and, getting feedback from them, and kind of get the ball rolling. And then we joined a startup competition at UNH called the Holloway competition. It's very similar to like Shark Tank, where you have to, do kind of like your, product pitch in front of a group of investors and stuff like that. And that kind of helped us just write the business plan, because obviously writing a business plan, it takes a lot of time. It's not the most fun thing in the world. But that kind of just made us sit down and actually do it. And then from there, we really realized there was a lot of potential for, this as a business. And we did pretty well in the competition. And from there, we launched the company as CocoChew in May of 2017. And we spent that summer traveling to different farmers markets along Cape Cod. And at that time, we were still hand tying the toys, so we sell the toy at the farmer's market face to face with these people. So we got to answer their questions and, tell them exactly what the product was. And from there, we really got, we saw firsthand how excited people were getting about it. And that's kind of what we realized, that, we knew there was some potential, but that was sort of the proof of concept. And, from there, we found manufacturers to work with out of the Philippines, which has been great. They're a social enterprise, so they reinvest part of their profit into their farmers so they can farm sustainably and stuff like that. And, along the way, we've kind of grown from, hand tying these things on the beach to actually being able to, get into different stores around the country. And, it's been quite the trip.
It's funny because I've heard that kind of story before. We were in school, we had to come up with this plan, and it just was that it worked. It made sense. And I love that story because it does show that going to school does actually pay off. Where a lot of people, they like to say, oh, well, so it's worthless to go, or, of course, within the news, we all hear about the bribes and different things. So there's always, the negative side. But you're showing there is a positive side, and that's always a great thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's, it's really what you make of it. I think, people, there's, on your own,
Oh, we're losing you a little bit.
Can you hear me, Chris?
There we go.
Okay, sorry. I'm in Hampton. It doesn't have the greatest cell service.
That's okay.
Yeah, let me know if it goes out again.
All right.
I think it's really all what you make of it, and especially for just who you meet there. I think that's the biggest thing with college is a lot of the people you meet in your class, or you'll stay connected with for the rest of your life, and in one way or another, that'll help you throughout your career and meeting the right people.
And you're proof to that. It's proof is in the pudding, right in that. Now, you mentioned how you went into this Shark Tank type atmosphere. So I always have to ask that question. because we've had different people who have been on Shark Tank on the podcast. So I have to ask, has that been something you're thinking, maybe we want to actually go to that next level?
Yeah, I think it's always been kind of on our radar, especially after Holloway, because, you know, you watch the show and you kind of answer the questions of how you would answer it in your head while you're watching it. So, you know, in our minds, we think we're ready. But I think I don't know, it's definitely on our radar. I think we're just kind of waiting to get a little bit more growth and a little bit more experience under our feet before we really kind of tackle that. But I think it would be something that would be really fun. And I actually know a few guys who've been on the show, and so they had their 2 cents about it, and their kind of advice was, yeah, you know, you kind of want to be a healthy company and sort of solidified by the time you get there. And, you know, it's great publicity, and obviously it'll, you know, be an interesting experience for sure.
Yes, and from what I've been told, man, afterwards it is a rush. When you're done, it becomes almost a panic attack after. So I always think that's kind of funny. And you're on the way for this, and that's the one thing. I'm going to add something to the statistics side of this, and that is over 80% of dogs over the age of 3, and this is so scary to think, they all have active dental disease. So you're actually coming out with something that is holistic, it's not been altered, and it's going to help with the dental problems of dogs in America. So that is something that I think is something to definitely jump in there and throw as a statistic to kind of give people an idea. This is why it's such a good idea. Now,
yeah, and
go ahead.
I was just going to say, so that was actually one of the big things we really stressed, and we still continue to stress, is how important it is, you know, the dental health to your dog. You know, whether you're using our toys or just bringing them to the vet regularly and stuff like that, it's, you know, it can honestly add years to their life. Just like it is in humans, you know, if you don't take care of your teeth, the bacteria will build up in your teeth and get into your gums, and eventually get into your bloodstream, which will, you know, affect all your major organs. So that's something we, you know, stress in our own personal lives, but also with our dogs. It's like, you really got to make sure you're taking care of their teeth. It's super important.
Does that ever kind of shock you? I mean, now, you bring up a great point, that it was something I was thinking about today. I'm thinking, okay, we know how to feed ourselves. We know what's good food and what's bad food. But with our dogs and cats, we're pretty much okay with this garbage that's on the market. We know it's fast food. But then, you know, you think to this whole conversation on the dental side, we all know how to take care of our teeth. We know how to brush them. We know how to floss. We know how to take care of them. Yet, just like in the nutrition side, our dogs and cats are suffering from all of these dental diseases because they're eating high amounts of sugar, high amounts of garbage, and, well, they're not being able to brush. So that's where I was like, oh my gosh, you know, the whole thing, it's so shocking to think. As humans, we know how to take care of ourselves, and yet we're not thinking about this for our dogs. It's weird, right?
Yeah, it's definitely, it's weird. And I think we're starting to see a little bit of a change in that, you know, where definitely I would have said, you know, 10, 15 years ago, 100%. But I think people are starting to get more educated and kind of realizing that they really do, you know, need to spend a little bit more on their food and on their dog's toys, you know, to make sure, you know, dental chews and everything, just to make sure they're getting quality product, especially for the food side, and, you know, the toys is the same way. But, you know, it's like you wouldn't want McDonald's food every meal, so you can't expect, you know, to buy the cheapest food and have your dog have, you know, good health. So I think people are moving in the right direction. Obviously, you know, it's hard to get everyone on board with that, and some people just don't want to spend the money, and sometimes you know, they're not in a position to. But I think it is something you're seeing kind of going towards a better trend of people, you know, kind of recognizing that And I think a lot of that goes on to the companies too. A lot of it comes back to the dog food companies being honest about where they source their food, and I think it's a lot easier now to kind of tell where the food's coming from. And I think you'll see that kind of in the toy industry as well, where a lot more of these dog toy companies are going to have to kind of tighten up their manufacturing and make sure the product that they're delivering is safe and is sourced in a sustainable way.
I'm hoping, because I see it all the time with the nutrition side. It is completely wonky, and it's continuing to become oh my gosh. But you're in a spot here that's probably the most affected, which is all the chew toys. Whether it's bones or it's pig ears or whatever it is, your prime spot is that, look, we have a holistic product, and you're not going to have to worry about what the ingredients are or where it's from. We have it all done for you. And that's the thing, is that majority of pet parents, I don't even have the numbers and statistic of how much people spend just for dog toys a year, but I mean, it's in the billions, and yet they're buying inferior products that have more repercussions and fatal objectives than there are positives. So that alone should give everybody that, this is the right way to go. Let's think about this, and that's where you're at the forefront of it. So that's got to be a great feeling.
Yeah, it's definitely something where we have a lot of pride about it. At the end of the day, we're very proud of the toy we make. It's 100% sustainably sourced. There's no dyes, no plastic, no pesticides on it. They're heat treated and stuff like that. So, we're 100% confident giving it to our own dogs, and that's, as a company, that's something, you want to be able to feel, you want to be proud about the product that you deliver.
Right. Yeah, because you're not selling lies, and that's the big
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
So that brings me to that famous question of the soapbox. What gets you on a soapbox? And you do a lot of different shows where you go into expos and things. What is something that said to you, and it just gets you on a soapbox where you're just like, okay, here's my pitch, here's what my opinion is, and here's what's wrong with XYZ?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different directions I can go with that. I think the biggest thing there is a little, like you kind of touched on it earlier, where people do spend a lot of money on toys as far as like the number, per year of how many billions of dollars people actually spend in the industry. It's a pretty big industry, but there's kind of this trend to just kind of create the cheapest toy, and I think it's important for consumers to know that, if you are buying a $3 to $4 toy, that, they have to make cuts somewhere along the line to make the price that low. Like, you put on your business hat and kind of think about, through the supply chain, through distribution, through how they source it. It's like, for that to be a $3 to $4 product, like, how would they make that happen? And so that's kind of the thing that gets me on a soapbox, is like, and I think you are seeing it in different, kind of areas that people are spending. It's people are realizing that, I would rather spend more money on my fruit and vegetables and get them from a local farm because I know, how it's sourced. I think people kind of need to have that holistic mentality for everything that they buy, and you see, people are willing to pay a premium for different products, and I'm hoping that people kind of trend that way for dog products, where they're willing to buy a product that they can, be 100% confident with, but, also understand that in order to get that product of that caliber, you're not going to get it at $4 to $5. And for us too, a lot of people are like, how does it compare to the rawhides and stuff like that, and I think there's been a lot of light shed on the rawhides and how they're sourced, and even the dental damage that they can do. They can chip teeth and stuff like that. So, as far as like direct competitors, I think part of our job is just kind of educating consumers and kind of just letting them know really the truth about the industry. industry, and from there you kind of hope they just make the right decision.
And it's a hard question. I know the soapbox one, as I said before we started recording, it will probably stick with you for a couple days where you're going to think, you know what, there's something else.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that question. I'm sorry to put that in your head, but I do love it.
No, it's a great question. You're 100% right. I don't know if I'll be able to fall asleep the next couple nights. Dude, you stirred the pot. I'm going to be thinking of all the things I could have said.
and you know what? Like I told you, I've had people say a week later they're still coming up with ideas, and that's what it's all about. I mean, we're all pet parents who really love our dogs or cats, and especially ones who are listening to the show. We all have our dogs and cats, and we want the best for them. We want the best for them, whether we have a two-legged furless, baby, or we have the four-leggeds, which I have both, and I treat them the same way. You're going to eat good food, and you're going to be well maintained, and you're going to grow to a very large size and perfect age, and hopefully live a very long life. We can't do that if we just buy these inferior things. And big box stores, they are notorious for it. You go in there. That's the fun. Just go in, look at people's baskets in the pet food aisle. Oh gosh, that is just, you'll see toys in there that are you are bad. You'll see chews that are in there. They're like, oh God, you're giving that to your dog or your cat. And then the food, it doesn't even get me started. But I'll be honest, I've looked at the little bone treats or any kind of whatever chew toys, and I'm just like, that stuff is death, and for $4, why would you do this? Why? So I'm with
you. No, it's true. Yeah, I always say, just buy local for everything. Support your local businesses, and only good things can happen if you do that.
But unfortunately, because we're a podcast and you're heard around the world, we can't support local. We got to support you. So, with that said, let's learn about your products. Now, I was really, really interested because I was like, okay, I was waiting to see this massive mount, and a lot of companies like to put a great deal out there all at one time. I have noticed, though, the ones that want to be meticulous and hone the craft go with something simple, and you went with something simple, which I had to give you that one. So you went with the COCO ball, which you have a large one and a small one. So let's kind of dive into that a little bit so people can understand what that is.
Yeah, so the COCO ball, if you're trying to visualize it, it kind of looks like a monkey's fist. The braid we use is a little different. But what's kind of cool about the COCO ball is that it's made 100% out of coconut husk. So there's no rubber or plastic core like you'll find with some of the other cotton rope balls. It's just another smaller ball tied within itself. So, it's 100% coconut husk. You know exactly what's in it. There's no other products, no other, pieces that are involved. It's just one continuous piece of rope of coconut husk. And what's cool about it is, it's something that's great for dogs that prefer to kind of chase. The first toy we came out with was the CocoChew Classic and the CocoChew Junior, which is essentially just a rope toy. And we get a lot of, that's still a very big hit. But it's, you can't throw it as far as you can throw the COCO ball. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. If you have a dog that prefers to just kind of sit down and kind of gnaw on its toys, then probably the rope's your better option. But if you're, you got that dog that just wants to chase and run all day long and fetch, then definitely try out the COCO ball for sure.
And, I didn't even ask this. What year did the CocoChew start?
Yeah, so we started in May of 2017.
Okay, so see that alone, that's kind of speaks volume to exactly what I was saying. So you're a year in, not even a full year. You're close to your first year.
We're almost
2 years. Sorry, we're 2019. I keep thinking it's 2018 for some reason.
I know. I do the same thing. Yeah.
Oh, it's driving me nuts. So you're almost in 2 years, and you're focused on what got you to where you are today, instead of worrying about Coco doll and Coco skates, CocoChew shoes. You're honing in on just what you're working with, and you're learning the actual business instead of massively putting stuff out there. That is exactly where I was at with this. You're not oversaturating and worrying about different things and sacrificing the product. You're really making sure it's right where it should be and growing. So that's a good job by you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we definitely have a kind of organic growth model where we kind of build by brick by brick, and quality is a big thing for us. So I mean, we definitely have different product ideas, different product extensions, but we really want to make sure before we just start going into too many different designs that we have everything working and everything 100% the quality that we kind of expect.
I can't tell you how many times I've seen it, and it shocks me. We got a product that's working. Let's mass promote different things and produce these different things that don't work, and they end up suffering. Now with the classic chew, we got a fire alarm.
Yeah,
it happens.
Looks like someone cooking upstairs.
It does happen. That's what I love about doing a podcast. It's really you're without a safety net. It just happens. So bear with that, folks.
Exactly. Sorry about that. Piercing your ears.
It's an interesting. I don't think we've ever had a fire alarm go off before. That's a first one. So hey, congratulations. There's always something in every episode that I've never seen or heard before. So that was cool. But with the classic, I mean, and you can see all these on your website, which we'll get to in a moment. But it's this really nice, tightly woven braid. I mean, it's really looks strong and sturdy. Like my Akita could chew on it for days, and it's still going to be in its proper shape and not breaking apart. That's what's really catchy.
Yes, they're definitely durable. One thing we do stress though is they're not indestructible. There's so many toys out there nowadays that claim to be the indestructible toy, but I mean, if you've seen enough dogs, it's just impossible. I mean, some dogs just have an incredible amount of chewing power. So, we always kind of disclose that right away that, it's not this, indestructible dog toy, but it does hold up pretty well. What we always recommend for our, heavy chewers out there is that we always tell people, give the toy to the dog right after they eat, and then you can kind of monitor it after and see how long before taking it away. Maybe that's 10-15 minutes if you have a really aggressive chewer, or maybe that's 30 to 40 if the dog's just kind of gnawing on it. And then you can kind of take it away. And what that'll do is it'll, one, prolong the life of the toy, and two, it'll also help scrub some of the food the dog just ate. It's almost like, brushing your teeth right after you just had a meal. So that's one trick we always tell people. If you really got like a really intense chewer, that'll kind of help, make it last longer. Having said that, we have a lot of dogs where you can just kind of let it hang out with them, and they'll chew it and play with it as they would just like any other toy. But yeah, it's always interesting to hear, some people will tell us that they have, really tough chewer, and gets through everything, and then they chew on the CocoChew and it lasts a lot longer than most other toys. So it's always interesting to hear.
That's what matters. And I like the fact that you're talking about monitoring the toys, where some people don't realize, maybe we should, because we do have a 3-year-old mentality furry friend, and we wouldn't just leave toys around for a 3-year-old child. We would monitor that as well. So thank you for actually throwing that one in there. That's very important. So, any idea what's next, or anything that you can let on that you're working on that's going to be coming out here soon?
I don't know. I think we kind of try to keep those cards close to our chest. But I think, something that, is kind of, I'm sure a lot of people can see is that, at some point we really want to start working into different pet lines. So maybe different cat lines. It's funny, we've actually seen cats play with, multiple cats play with the Coco Ball and the CocoChew. And we've also even had macaws. So some birds are interested in it as well. So, coconut husk as a material, it can be very versatile and applicable to different toys and instruments for different animals. So I think that's something, to keep, in tune for. It's definitely something we see ourselves going into, is kind of, not just staying in the dog space, but, seeing, what cool toys we can make for cats and also for birds and different animals alike.
And I was gonna let you just kind of have that moment, because I thought, I'd ask about cats, but you know what? I figured this was that perfect time to let you kind of slide that in.
Yeah.
Good timing. So as I had mentioned earlier, you're going to be doing different expos. So let some people know where you're going to be in the next. Let's see. We're already going to be past the first expo, but you can always mention it and tell everybody where they can see you in other expos coming up.
Yeah. So. By the time you hear this, I will be on my way back from Global Pet Expo, which will be in Orlando. That's kind of the big one. Our first expo was Super Zoo. We did I think it was July, this past July. And so this will be our second big expo. And then right after that, quick turnaround, we're going to be at the Healthy Dog Expo in Albany, New York. So we'll see your friend, Dr. Koger, there. And so that'll be fun. That's a really unique expo too, just because it's catering to all natural and holistic and sustainable products. So right up our alley, and definitely going to be the audience. There's people that are passionate about it. So we're very excited for that.
That one's amazing. I honestly wish I was going to be there for that one, because anything she does, and I'm comparing Healthy Dog to all of them. And whether it's Super Zoo or Global or wherever, she's still the number one. And that's an opinion, but I'm right. So
yeah, it'll be your first time. We're excited. We've heard really good things, and we kind of looked into who else was going to be there. And I mean, it's pretty much everyone that we kind of have looked up to as mentors and role models as far as companies. I think we're kind of coming into an age where companies aren't just looking to maximize profits, but they're actually trying to bring a good, value and a sustainable and a moral way. So this is definitely an expo that kind of highlights companies that are looking to do that.
And you have some really great speakers. I mean, you'll have Cole Harrington from Pet Fooled. You're going to have Kimberly Gauthier, who is a great blogger, and she's amazing. You're going to have a lot of great people to be able to talk to, and that's the key to all this, is the people that are there. They are literally the superstars of this industry right now, and they're leading the way. So I definitely have to say you're prime for a great couple weeks. Global, I've always said the same thing. I don't think I'd get to Global because I'd be too busy wanting to go to amusement parks, because I'm still a child inside and I can't let.
Oh yeah, I know that might be an issue for us too, but we'll see.
Yeah, and if you ask me, would it be Universal Orlando or would it be Disney World? I couldn't give you the right answer, but I know one thing: I would not be at the expo. That's the unfortunate side for me. Or the beach. I will say the expo is I've never been, so this will be our first time. But Super Zoo was it was insane. Like all the different booths there, and people put a lot of money in creativity and creating their booths. So it's really cool just walking around and seeing the different companies. And if you have a dog, I feel like now definitely people are becoming more in tune to dog brands and kind of having their favorites. Like a lot of people, for us, like Hergo, Let's Paw, and different companies that maybe aren't direct competitors, but like companies that we like ourselves. And so it's kind of cool to be able to walk around and meet people that are involved with those companies. It really is a cool aspect, that way. Yeah, Super Zoo is a little bit of a different kind of monster. It does lend itself to more of the industry meeting the industry, opposed to really the consumer. Now, not to say that the consumer doesn't go, of course they go, and the people at Super Zoo are absolutely amazing as well, and that's the great part about it. But it is an event that gives the industry an opportunity to meet each other and really communicate and network, and that helps. That helps a great deal.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's one of the best parts about it too. Is obviously working in the dog industry, there's just so many great people that are passionate about dogs and animals. So it's really interesting and energizing to be in a room with that many people that really do care.
Yeah, it's kind of like the all-star game for the industry. I think that's the best way to put it.
yeah, that is a good way to look at it, I guess. I don't know if you'd consider us an all-star, but I think we think of ourselves as an all-star.
Well, when you think about it, even prospects, even the young, talented players that are coming up, they still make all-star.
Oh, yeah.
So, it doesn't matter what sport we're talking about. The analogy is right there for all of us. You can be the superstar who's been in the industry for a long time, or the new guy who's just coming on up. And so there's no wrong way to be. I mean, it is definitely an all-star event, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to look forward to seeing you at, whether it's Global or Healthy Dog or even Super Zoo again. How can everyone take a look at what you have and visit your website, ask questions, etc.?
So our website is just CocoChewLLC.com, and then CocoChew is just COCOCHEW, and then LLC.com. And if you just Google CocoChew dog product, will pop up too. But you can read kind of more about our story. We have a pretty active blog. We just did one on dental tips. We have ones about some of our different trips that we've done. Trips to the Philippines to meet our manufacturer. We also have blogs about kind of how we got our started. Also, you can read more about kind of about the product and see them. And we're also obviously on social media. We post a lot on our Instagram and our Facebook. And you can post on any of those platforms. There's on our website. You can send us an email and it'll go directly to us. We're a pretty small company. There's only really 4 of us. So that's definitely one way. And the other thing too is we are in stores. So you can go on our store tracker or a locator, and you can see where we are located. And hopefully we're in an area that's close to you. And that way you can go and actually see the physical product, see the CocoChew and the Coco Ball. And then if you don't see us near a store that you like, you can always message us and send it to us. We're always open to finding different kind of holistic, all-natural dog retail stores. That's kind of what we try to specialize in. So, yeah, definitely check us out on the website and our social media outlets.
I like it. And, I didn't lead with this question, and usually I like to lead with it, but I sidetracked myself. What was the most recent movie you have seen, and tell us about it?
The most recent movie?
Mm-hmm.
I just saw that movie with Lady Gaga and
Star is Born.
Star is Born.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I don't know if it was one of those movies you need to watch again. I'm not going to say it's a bad movie. I thought it was good. I thought it was definitely pretty emotional, and I don't know. It's just one of those movies I put in the glad I saw it, but I don't need to see it again category.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to see the Free solo movie about the free climbing.
Okay, yeah.
I haven't seen that one yet. That one's on my list.
There's so many on the list. I wanted to see The Star is Born. I have not seen it.
It's actually, I would say it does put an interesting perspective on kind of mental illness. So I guess that's I think that was kind of the angle the movie took. So that's kind of interesting.
I always like to ask that question because, it's something that, honestly, we all watch movies, and sometimes we don't even pay attention to what we're watching. I'm guilty of that. But sometimes it's like, oh, well, have you watched a good movie lately? It's a very strange question, but it does work.
Yeah, no, it's weird. I feel like there aren't as many good, good movies coming out nowadays. They're few and far between.
Yeah.
When you do find one, you gotta go and check it out.
Yeah, I'm usually a superhero type person. It's like, just give me a Marvel movie and I'm happy.
The Marvel?
Yes.
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah, I stay with Marvel. I'm not as much of a DC fan, but, it's to each his own. All right. Well,
exactly.
Thank you, Chris, for being on. We really appreciate you taking the time and sharing your story with us. And come back anytime. Tell us what's going on. Keep us informed. We really look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. No, definitely. I think this was a lot of fun. We'd obviously love to be back, and maybe next time we get, some of the other guys in on the call as well. You guys can hear from all of us.
I like that idea. That we can definitely do. And I've been asked that so many times. Like, of course we can. We can conference call it all and have a big, round table discussion. It's a lot of fun to do it like that, too.
Definitely, yeah. That'd be a lot of fun.
Well, I'm Chris Green. Have a fantastic week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Okay, gotta go. It's my bedtime.